tape real quick. This one's going to be one of those. It's definitely going to be one of those. Seems like every stream turns into a Share the Pain stream these days. What's up, Tuck? Brother man, we fixed and listen to some true backyard brain surgeons. Give it a minute, see how else shows up, and then I gotta find this. Matter of fact, do I have it already? I thought I found it already. Yeah, I think I got it. We're fixing to listen to some true brain surgeons. And it ain't gonna be pretty. Let me see. Okay, I think I'm good on that. I ain't missing some of the other things that I normally watch right now, but we are fixing to run this. Good God. Look at some comments. Guys, putting some good stuff out there. What is up, Tactical FUD? My brother, what's happening? Oh, my God. There are people that make laws who scare me more than anything else. And we're going to listen to some of them. Turn the old headphones up. Let's see. Let me back that up. Which one was this one? I'm finding it. Where is it at? Did I back up that far? Hold on, I think this is it. Yep. This is it. Oh, this one's going to be freaking painful. I'll give it a couple more minutes, see if anybody shows. I'd light a cigarette. Actually, I'll be back in just a minute. Yeah, give me 2 shakes. I'll be back. All right, I'm back. Let's see. Let me check something. I forget who all's freaking streaming and shit right now, and I hate kind of stepping on people, but this was one of those that I just couldn't. God damn, I couldn't let this fucking shit slide. Oh, the Delhi Bullets up at, yeah, they're up at 7. All right, well, what is up with this? Let me do something. All right. Looks like I'm back in. Where was the last one at? I know it got hit up in the the Fourth Circuit, I think. It ended up getting hit there. But anyway, let's crank some shit up. Ah, crap. That's not the way I wanted to do it. It's really not the way I wanted to do it. What am I doing? I'm doing something. It's been a long day. Leave me alone. I'm in the right place. Good God. I'm losing it. I've effectively been so mentally damaged.
Hey, boys! Look what I got here!
Hey, where are the white women at?
Damn it. Damn it. Damn it. Anyway, glad somebody noticed. But Jason, I mailed your thing out today, so it shouldn't be, but about 2 days you should have it in hand. But anyway, this hearing, this is just this was a House hearing, and I wasn't seeing any gun control stuff come through, but I kept listening to it. And what they're talking about here is when constitutional carry passed in Alabama, they also passed a supplemental in the budget to fund the sheriffs a little bit because the sheriffs were making few $1 million off of permits, and that was their fund money. And almost every time you heard a sheriff talk about it, well, they were talking about damn money, and these people carrying guns. So we're going to listen to what these douchebags said today. They probably shouldn't have said that way, but they're pissing me off because they're talking about stuff they have no idea about. Yeah, Woods, man. I can't remember whether I shared that link or not, but yeah, Inslee signed up 3 bills today: the assault weapons ban and all that. Yeah, dude, it's well, it's in the court's hands now. Now, we'll warn you, in the lower courts, some of these lower courts might uphold this shit because, again, this is where I go to. Joe Biden and them have been putting leftist judges on the courts for, since he got in office. So it's getting real sketchy with everything that he's done. So what we're going to listen to here is these Democrats' reaction, because they hated constitutional carry, and when it passed, they've been throwing a hissy fit ever since. So they started throwing a little bit more of a hissy fit today when we talk about adding more money in the budget for sheriffs and Alabama's budget. Well, let's listen to what these idiots have to say. And there's a couple of these I will warn you right now. Your head is going to hurt. It's going to be like someone just took your head, stuck it in a door jamb, and kept slamming the door into your head the whole time this dude talks. At least that's the way I felt.
Sheriff's Advancement in Education, Technology, and Training Fund to reflect what the purpose of these funds the sheriffs are using in terms of their discretionary dollars. And with that, Mr. Speaker, I call for the BIR.
Chair recognizes the gentleman from Clark, Representative Jackson.
Thank you, Speaker. I just want to remind my colleague that this does not make our sheriffs or the men in blue any safer. Having guns without a permit. And see, the only thing that we are trying to do is protect, save lives.
Yeah, right.
The bill was in committee on last week that will give law enforcement an option to question a driver at a traffic stop. Do you have a concealed weapon? Simple question. Committee voted it down. See, on a dark night, on a country road, or even on a lighted highway in a city, our officers are in danger because there are guns out there that is not permitted. Nobody knows. So we want to glorify guns and let our pastime be mass shootings. This is...
First of all, I'll throw a scenario at you guys. I'm driving Alabama roads. I tend to speed quite a bit sometimes. I get pulled over. I have my gun on me. Officer pulls me over. He runs my tag. He walks up to the car, my truck in this case. License and registration. So I hand him my license. I hand him my registration. He says, "You know how fast you were going?" I go, "Nope." Wasn't paying attention. He writes me a ticket. I sign said ticket. He goes about his way. I go about my way. It's what it is. Nothing happened because my guns are not dangerous to him. Do you honestly expect that a criminal, someone out there to do harm to people, is going to go, "Oh yeah, officer, I got a gun in the car"? No, you idiot.
Insanity. when everybody can wear a gun or have one concealed, and law enforcement can't question that in a traffic stop.
Why is it
But
in
we're gonna give them
business?
a few more dollars to make them feel good. Then we're gonna change the name of their permit fund to education. Who been educated? A parent, a mother.
Cops need
When
to
the
be
husband been
educated on
shot
the
down,
law and the Constitution.
Children, when their parents been killed. Who are being educated here? I've been trying to be sensible this session. I haven't been up here that much because some of the insanity that goes on up here it divides my thought process.
I don't think you have a thought process.
I don't entertain
brother.
it. But we are getting a little out of hand. I mean, it's time for us to have some common sense to just see what we are doing and who's going to suffer.
Okay. Anytime you mention gun control, brother, you lose your right to mention common sense. Because gun control ain't got jack shit to do with common sense. As far as educating, cops need to be educated on the Constitution. See, my personal opinion about it is cops need to be authorities on the Constitution. So that there is a unconstitutional law, like most gun laws, like all gun laws, then the police won't enforce them because they are bound to honor the Constitution, not you jackasses that are legislators.
See, not until it comes into your neighborhood, not until it hits your house, then you will have a change of heart. But why we want to wait till that happens? See, we're supposed to have vision. We're supposed to see things and prevent things. Try to help the masses as much as possible in our deliberation and in our debate and in our public policy.
No, you're not.
Human beings are the most greatest resources that this state can have. There was an accident in my county this past week in Thomasville. And I want to thank all those responders that went out, first responders. They did everything that they was trained to do, but they couldn't save a life. This is what's important, life.
Why you bring up
So
an
I'm not
accident?
gonna
We're
talk
talking
too
about
much. I want
guns.
to say, Mr. Speaker, I just wanted to put this on the record that us Democrats have been trying to make life better and make safety an issue. Have our guns permitted, since we want to know that where our officer is in danger.
How does, explain this to me. How does a permit keep an officer safe? Criminals don't care about permits. They carry their guns anyway. There's never been a criminal in the history of criminals. Let me make myself bigger on this. There's never been a criminal in the history of criminals that went to leave his house with his gun to go murder somebody and hit his door and went, oh shit, I can't do that. I don't have a permit. That has never happened. What did happen was people who didn't want to go through and get their ID and all that shit that weren't carrying guns because they don't like to have their government issue permission cards. When constitutional carry hit, then they started carrying. If they obeyed the law to not carry a gun, when the law was you can't carry a gun, they will more than likely obey all the other laws while they carry a gun. What's up, Sister Shauna? So, the sheer ignorance of the Democrats' arguments on this is mind-boggling to me. And that's not even the worst one. You're going to hear worse. You're going to hear a lot worse.
That they can question the driver to see if they are carrying, and if they are carrying, then that's it. Nothing done. But just to keep that officer abreast and safe. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you.
Sure,
Again,
thanks to gentlemen.
why does
Sure,
it
like to
matter if I
recognize
tell the
Senate
cop if I
in
have
the
a gun or
gallery,
not?
Selma's Redevelopment Authority from Selma, Alabama, Miss Susan Youngblood. Again,
If I'm a
Representative
threat to the
Chestnut.
officer,
Let's give her a big hand for being with us today.
I'm going to pull my gun on him. If I am not a threat to the officer, I'm not going to pull my gun.
Also,
Here's
would
a
like
clue,
to recognize
officer.
Wise Institute.
Treat
Let's give them a
everybody
big hand
like
for being
they're
with us as well
armed
today. Thank y'all
and
for
be
joining us today.
respectful.
Sure, I'd like to recognize the gentleman from Mobile, Representative Stranger, be the third person to speak on the BR.
Now, coming from Mobile, again, her sheriff is a seriously anti-gun sheriff. Or his. Is this a he? Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. With the gentleman yield.
Yes, sir.
Hey, I just want to thank you for bringing this bill because there was some mistakes and some issues with the way we set that.
This wasn't the one I was thinking of. Maybe it's the next one. But Mobile, their sheriff down there is absolutely anti-gun. Sure enough.
Up to refund the sheriff. We did need to go back and try to correct that and fix it. I appreciate the work you put into it. I appreciate you reaching out to me and getting my input and let me know what was going on and allow me to be a part of this process. Appreciate you.
Yeah. Thank you. I think fair points you make here.
Hell, I even
We
hit
made
my
some
own like
decisions
button.
last year in the midst of that debate that you know, at times was a little lengthy, but we're trying to do what's right to ensure that our county law enforcement, who at the end of the day, counties don't have the ability to raise their own revenue, but we recognize this gives them a chance to kind of figure that piece out, because the emphasis is for our men and women in county law enforcement is to ensure that they're able to do the continual education and training piece that they really need to do so they can remain safe when they're doing their jobs. So
That's correct. And the increase we're doing is not that large considering for 67 sheriff departments across the state. So I think it's a good compromise in trying to help and support and back the blue.
Yep, absolutely. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
Back the blue.
Sure, thanks to gentlemen. Sure recognizes John Knight. We're not going to let you speak today, though, John. John, it's good to see you with us today, former representative for the House of Representatives. Sure, I'd like to recognize the gentleman from Tuscaloosa, Representative England.
Oh, this is a douche. He's another one I've tried to call a few times, and his mailbox is full. This is also the guy, and he gets kind of snippy right here. He had one bill to, like right now, permitted, I can carry onto school grounds. Like I go pick my daughter up, I'm carrying on school property. When I go to pick my daughter up, I have protection against being charged with anything because, you know, I have that permit, which means I'll probably keep my permit up. He wants to make it a felony, wants to make me a felon if I carry on school grounds to go pick my daughter up, or if I get pulled over in a school zone. And what else did he have? He had another one that was just pretty much insane, but yeah, let's listen to my little buddy talk. Cause I'd love to go testify in front of these people.
Thank you for recognition. When gentleman yield.
Yes, sir.
So, this amends the Permit Act, or the I guess they call it the Constitutional Carry Act. From
Brother Mike
last
McClune,
year.
what's up?
Seems familiar, yes.
Yeah, so this amends
Sister
that.
Vanessa Kitty, how's it
Right.
going?
Ain't that something? And you, this bill not only amends it, but it acknowledges that there were some mistakes made in passing it. One of those mistakes was they used the wrong year to generate the losses from law enforcement. One of our former members made a really good point when he was here, and it drove us to creating a grant program because, effectively, taking away permits defunded the police. That's what he said. And as soon as he said that, we had a grant program that
Not making you pay your blackmail money to be able to carry your gun took away money from the sheriffs. That's what he's saying. Because the sheriffs would be the ones, and police, that would throw you in jail if you didn't have a permit to carry your otherwise legal firearm. And again, I say, it didn't stop a single criminal from carrying their gun.
we're going to refund the police, I guess. And I heard several other people say that the law
Oh,
wasn't.
I got to say
perfect.
this real quick while
Like
I'm
there were
thinking
some
about
other
it. I got almost everything mailed out from the other day, except for the Killdozer cut, because I'm going to have to do a little bit of work to repair the paint on there. Who did I mail out today? I got Kurt, Jason, and G23. Sent out all their stuff. I can't remember who I got for the excuse me. Either way, the Killdozer cut's the last one I got to send out, Mike. So that's the last one. And I'll try to fix that tomorrow and get Killdozer mailed out. And then that'll take care of everybody who won stuff the other night.
issues with the permitless carry bill that came up last year. You familiar with any of those other issues?
I think I've heard you speak on a few. So if you have any of those issues you want to care to bring up.
Yeah, sure. Because I tried to fix one of those issues. What was amazing to me about that whole conversation that we had about permitless carry was there was an acknowledgement between law enforcement and the carriers and the supporters of that bill that the likelihood that there would be more people carrying concealed weapons as a result of not having to have a permit.
Yes.
That includes everybody. You know,
Yes.
some folks didn't want to have trouble getting a permit. Once you told them they didn't have to get one, they're going to start carrying guns.
Yes.
There are some people now who legally can't carry weapons.
They were
And that- do you
already
know what the best
carrying
way
them,
for a
you
criminal to carry a
jackass.
pistol would be now?
Listen to this dumb shit.
Carry it concealed, because you look just like everybody else. You're a legal carrier. Makes it much more difficult to determine who's a legal carrier and who's not when everybody's.
Okay. Legal carry in this guy's mind. Am I supposed to wear a giant sign on me that says I am a legal carrier according to him? Kurt, what's up, my brother? I got your stuff mailed out today. But yeah, am I supposed to wear a big sign? Hey, I'm a legal gun carrier. Yes, we carry concealed, you jackass. So we do look like everybody else. This is listening to this while I'm doing shit's why my students think I have Tourette's. I told you this is gonna hurt.
Presumed to be one, but we acknowledged that being a law enforcement officer in those circumstances is a little bit more difficult. So what we thought we were doing, we're drawing up compromises. So if we increase the risk, we also increase law enforcement's ability to respond to that risk. So what did we do? We created the program that you're talking about. Wrong year, we're fixing that now, okay? Another thing that we agreed on was that it would be a Class A misdemeanor on a traffic stop if you touched a pistol in the car. Because again,
That is not what they agreed on. They agreed on it is a Class A misdemeanor if you do not inform the police officer if you're carrying a gun. And that Class A misdemeanor can make you a prohibited possessor. Now they're trying to make it. He got a bill. That's the other one. He's got a bill that duty to inform. If you don't inform the officer, it is now a felony instead of a misdemeanor. I think that's the other bill of his that got shot down. Thank God. The ignorance of these people just drives me insane.
It's dangerous. We know now more people will carry carry pistols in cars because you don't have to get a permit to do it anymore. So we made that concession to make it easier and safer, relatively speaking, considering more people would have guns, for law enforcement. We also created the duty to inform. In that whole deliberation, it was also another agreement drawn up with law enforcement because we acknowledge that it's not as safe now. So not only do we not want people touching guns on
Motherfucker got
traffic
me
stops,
smoking like a freight train.
but we also, if you got one and we ask you, we want you to tell us. And if you don't tell us, tell law enforcement, then you can be punished for it. Again, another concession.
Again, let me explain this to the class. Eagle, what's up, brother? So Eagle, they're going over, Alabama's constitutional carry. They're changing something, just doing a little quick fix on a bill to give the sheriffs a little extra money because they're missing money from people not getting permits. The Democrats are coming up here talking about how bad constitutional carry is and the cops are in so much trouble because more people are carrying guns and yada, yada, and blood in the streets and yada. Yeah, if you watch too much more of this, Eagle, get ready because it's coming. It's going to hurt. It's already painful enough listening to this dude. Oh man, it gets rough.
That was allegedly made between the sponsors of the bill and law enforcement because, if you're going to allow us to take away this permit requirement, please do something to make us safer on the street. But for whatever reason, the duty to inform wasn't passed with a penalty. And we know from recent Supreme Court precedent, Alabama Supreme Court says if a criminal law doesn't have a penalty, then it can't be enforced.
Oh, I know what I was going to say.
Things that we negotiated last year.
I know what I was going to say. So my wife, say she has to go to the store real fast. She jumps in my truck. She doesn't realize that my little AR pistol is underneath the back seat. She gets pulled over. Maybe she didn't have her gun on her, so she doesn't say there's a weapon in the car. Well, come to find out, cop says, well, you look a little, scared, something like that. I'm going to search your vehicle. He finds a weapon. All of a sudden, my wife is a prohibited possessor. Not because she did anything wrong, not because she was a threat to anybody, but because of this stupid-ass law. Honestly, is a criminal someone who's out there doing drive-bys, murdering people, robbing people? You think they're going to care about duty to inform? You're going to wind up screwing over a bunch of innocent people who are no threat to anybody, which was what 99.999% of these gun laws do. Freaking if Sam was in here, he'd be telling me to watch my blood pressure. Chris, what's going on, my brother?
But we acknowledge that there are problems, and I think we're coming back to fix those. Well, you got a bill to fix a problem, and look at us. We're here voting on it. It's amazing because we found a problem and we fixed it. I bring a bill, same sort of problem. We have a criminal code with no penalty. It's unenforceable. I bring a bill in committee to fix that problem. Something that I thought we negotiated last year. Guess what? Gets killed in committee. Didn't even get a discussion. So it just begs the question, are we really trying to protect law enforcement when we put them at greater risk? And did we just not give them lip service last session for political expediency purposes, rhetoric, just to talk, just to get your agreement, knowing that we're not going to do what's necessary on the street to protect you? Now, that wasn't even my idea.
Yeah, I meant to say that earlier, Chris.
Was something that
Logan
everybody involved in the discussion negotiated.
MC, what's up, brother?
You were there. You remember that discussion, okay? So if we know now that it's not enforceable, why won't we fix it? Why are
MC, weren't you one that's supposed to be getting something today? I thought you were. If you don't get it today, you get it tomorrow. And I lost the damn tracking number, so I can't tell you. Oh, cool deal. Yeah, that's why today I mailed off, like I said, Jason's and a couple other guys' stuff. And I had to not only print the receipt, but I got an email copy of the receipt. That way I can't lose the receipt because, you know, things.
why isn't there a bill coming forward, because we love law enforcement so much, want to protect them, that we're going to require people to inform them if they're asked if they got a pistol? That bill should be bipartisan. It should be 105-0 on its way to the Senate. But yet, for some reason, I can't get it out of committee.
You shouldn't get it out of
Something's
committee.
wrong.
It ought to be trashed.
So I'm trying to figure out what's more important. We've had this conversation. I'm not going to just divulge what our conversation about it, but you're in law enforcement, and that's important to you. And it's just like I said it a couple of weeks ago, but it's the twilight zone to me that I got members of law enforcement who aren't doing what's necessary to make sure they're safer,
Good deal, MC.
knowing that there are more guns on the street. And I'm trying to figure out why. I'm trying to figure out why we are able to go back in, acknowledge that we've made a mistake with the money, and fix it.
Eagle, that's right.
But when it actually comes to the nuts and bolts of patrol,
My freedom and liberty
we
are
can't
more
muster the
important
political will
than his
to
feelings.
fix another problem that we created. So I'm at a loss. I still have the bill. Maybe I'll get it drawn up a different way so I get another opportunity
No,
to be
you
heard
ought to
on
set
it.
that bill on fire and
But
call it a day.
if we're willing to acknowledge that there are more guns
Good deal, MC.
on the streets that law enforcement now has to deal with,
As long as you like it, brother, that's
then we
all I
should
care
be able
about.
to acknowledge that there's more we owe them to make sure they can do their job safely. And it's more than just money. It's got to be a commitment there. And I'm trying to figure out why we can't manage to fix a problem to protect them. So, I co-sponsored this bill because it's one of the issues that we've identified.
All right, Eagle Run,
I'm not
take it
even
easy,
gonna talk
brother.
about the fact that anybody with a permit now can carry on school grounds. I'm not even here to talk about that. That's something that you and I can reasonably debate about how it's done, or even if it's necessary.
No, we can't debate that because you're not intellectually honest about your arguments. Even without a permit, if I carry on school grounds to go on there to pick my daughter up to, go to a PTA meeting, I am no threat to anybody. So leave me alone. But see, you just think the gun's evil and the gun makes people evil. So you think something's got to be done about these guns. And that's your only focus.
But I just don't see how we can reasonably debate requiring somebody who's got a pistol on a traffic stop and knowing that there are a lot more out there.
Good deal, brother.
Why
Thank
would
you.
we want to fix that problem and make sure that people who are carrying concealed on traffic stops, or when talking to a law enforcement officer, just say, when asked, I got one. I got one. So I'm going to continue to work on that issue. I may come back down here for 10 more minutes
Well,
and talk about it some
see,
more.
yeah, that could be.
Because
But
I want people
again,
to share the commitment that you and
I said it earlier. So Alabama, which I think it is a misdemeanor right now to not inform an officer. But honestly, I'm driving down the road, got my 19 on me, hauling, poof, get pulled over, hit the side of the road. Cop comes up. Know how fast you were going? No, really don't. Wasn't paying attention. License, registration. Here you go. He writes a ticket. We shoot the breeze a little bit. I get the ticket. I sign it. And I drive off. My guns aren't a threat to him because I'm not a threat to him. The people who are a threat to him aren't going to say shit about their guns. They're just going to pull their guns and start shooting. But those are people we call criminals or mentally ill people who weren't going to inform you in the first place. So why put people in a situation, like I said earlier, where my wife uses my truck and doesn't realize that my pistol or something is in there, and then gets into a speeding situation with a cop, and he sees, oh shit, you got a pistol in your back seat. Oh, and then there's my wife getting charged with a felony because she just didn't realize it was there. These people are so moronic. And that's not even the worst. We ain't even hit the worst yet. Y'all hang out.
And I have to making sure law enforcement is safe and doing what's necessary to make sure that happens. And again, it's more than making sure that budget-wise, I have enough money to pay for bulletproof vests and many other things.
Agreed.
I want to make sure that those folks who are on the street, all the guns that are out there now as a result of this permitless carry stuff, law enforcement has the ability to protect themselves and be fully aware of who they're dealing with. So I'll probably see you again in a little bit. Thank you.
Chair thanks the gentleman. Chair recognizes the gentleman from Jefferson, Representative Treadway. Be the fourth person speaking on the BR.
Is this my buddy that got real is just real out in the woods, or is it another one? I can't remember.
Yield.
Yes, sir.
No, this isn't the one that
First of all,
got
I
real
appreciate
out.
you bringing this bill because I think it goes with our commitment to law enforcement from day one, that any lost revenues, we will look to make them up. And this bill takes a huge step in that direction. I believe we're the only constitutional carry state in America that actually does that, has that commitment. In addition, there's the database that keeps law enforcement officers safe. So these are areas that, as we were discussing,
Okay, so
the constitutional carry bill.
so I'll say this. Alabama, on top of regular criminal record search, they want people entered into Alabama's very own database if they're a prohibited possessor. And that way they have another avenue to check whether or not they're walking up on someone who is a possibly violent criminal that could have a gun. Okay, it is what it is. Not a real fan of databases, but hey. So that's what he's talking about there, is Alabama's very own database.
That we were committed to making sure that not only officers were safe, but citizens in Alabama were safe. These are two important areas that I think is important that folks know, because no other state with constitutional carry is doing that. So I appreciate you bringing a bill to ensure that any revenues that go to public safety are going to be replaced. So thank you.
Yep. Thank you, Representative.
Chair thanks the gentleman. Question for the body now is adoption of the BIR. Clerk will unlock machine and members will vote. Clerk will lock machine, record the votes. 100 ayes, 0 nays. BR has passed. Representative Betso.
Yes, Mr. Speaker, if there's no further question, we will call for final passage.
Chair recognizes the lady from Jefferson, Representative Gavan.
So everybody voted for the bill to, to fund the sheriffs, to actually get the bill active. Now they're going through on final passage of the bill. And now you're about to see some next level. The let's just say next level.
I shall not be long, but since there's been some great discussion and debate, would you just kind of help me? I sent someone to bring me a copy of the bill. Tell me what this bill does.
Yeah, so we're just making some changes relative to portions of the bill from last year where we allocated a pot of about $5 million that the sheriffs in our state could apply for in terms of lost revenue from the sale of concealed weapons permits. Last year during the debate and on the passage, we compared that value for lost revenue to the 2022 pistol permit sales. And this bill would change that comparison of value to the 2021 calendar year for comparison purposes.
And this is for the sheriff's department. Did you speak with the sheriff in Jefferson County about this bill?
I haven't personally spoken
I mean,
with
not
him.
the sheriff's department, but for the sheriff's association.
Oh, yes, ma'am.
So
Absolutely.
that's why we have all these sheriffs in here.
Yep. Yep. I see a few up there and
Keep a
certainly
watch over us.
have been in touch with them through
I
this
hope
entire
any of them
process.
remember my face so they won't have a need to stop me in the future. Because one was mean mugging me so hard up there. I know he probably read my lips when I asked the question. Another representative.
I think I saw you at a recent gathering of the Sheriff's Association. Didn't I see you there?
Oh yeah, I love my sheriff, Sheriff Mark Petway. I love him. I mean, I love Jefferson County. I love law enforcement. When they do the right thing, you know, we have good actors and bad actors in everything that we do. But I too agree with my colleague that something needs to be done with these guns that are in the hands of our children. It grieves me. And again, I'm pro this argument, Second Amendment right. I don't carry a weapon, but everybody in my family.
All right. I warn you guys. This is another warning. Go ahead and unload anything you have around you that can go boom and put it out of arm's reach. If you can reach for it easily, it's probably too close. Just send it out of arm's reach. Just maybe even unload it. Well, you don't shoot your computer. That way you don't shoot your TV.
Family does. My father was a staunch supporter, and I have no problem with it. This is not about those rights, and I hope we can bring some legislation. As I said just the other day in an interview, that I also hope we begin to look at bringing something that we can at least put a moratorium on the age limit of an individual that can purchase a firearm, or at least crack down on the distributor of these ghost guns, all of these triggers.
Take a deep breath. Meditate. Take a deep breath. Because she doesn't realize these 14, 15, 13-year-old kids that are out there gang banging and shooting things up, they are not going to an FFL and getting their guns. They're getting their guns from the same place they're getting their drugs. And those people aren't running background checks. See the way this works. And ghost guns, I've got one right here. I carry it every day for self-defense. It's a gun that I built.
That speed up the trigger process, the manufacturer and distribution. Let me say the distribution. And again, I say this to my people out in TV land, out in the web, far out there in the whatever media platforms that are out there. Don't tweet me, text me, email me, because I'm not gonna be interested in it. I'm gonna speak my piece, and that's my story, and I'm sticking to it, and I mean everything that I say. You know, I will be attending the funeral of young Kiki Smith in just a few days that died in Dable. So I do hope, and I agree, as my colleague said, that we begin, we bring these bills, and I'm pro law enforcement, but we have kids that are killing every day. We have kids that are disrespecting law enforcement. That's why I'm trying to get my exhibition bill out to give the law enforcement in Jefferson County something to work with as it relates.
So you got all these kids going out there killing. You know they're going out there killing. Apparently, you don't understand where they're getting their guns from, though. But understand they are already breaking, I don't know, 3 to 4 laws before they even get to the point where they're out there shooting somebody and murdering them. More laws ain't gonna help.
Relates to all of this exhibition driving and burns. We have individuals when the law enforcement say
One
stop,
car,
they will
what's
not
up, my
even
brother?
stop. You can't win against law enforcement. That's just a stop you just can't win on. So I always encourage even my clients, beat them in the courtroom because you can't beat them in the car. And they have a job to do. And in a lot of instances, we do get to a point of fairness.
Joe
but
Morris, what's happening,
with that
brother?
being said, the name, help me understand the name and what we're changing the name of this fund to, and why is there a need to change the name?
I think it's specifically important to focus on
Mike McClune,
positive
100%.
aspects of what we're trying to accomplish.
That's the
here.
only way you fix this stuff.
Last year, I don't know if it was just the matter of compromise or trying to get through the day. We kind of had a negative connotation with it. It was directed towards lost revenue. I think that now that we've gotten to this point, we're a year out, we've seen that we need to make an adjustment in the available funds. I think it's important to focus on what the sheriffs across our state are using this money for.
And it's being used for what purpose?
Education, training, and technology. These are the things that the budgets of the county, without their county's ability to raise their own revenue, they've depended on in this state for a long time on that discretionary dollars coming to them in the sale of pistol permit revenue. And so I want to focus in on that. So we felt like it was important to really highlight what the sheriffs of our state are doing.
But when and this is something I've wanted to ask over the years, because when you all speak of education, is it educating them?
Yeah.
Maybe, what type of education?
So, certainly I can't speak for every agency across our state, but I think that we all would say no.
Let me tell you something. I'll tell you the type of education that these cops should be getting. They should be getting an education on constitutional rights and constitutional restraints on government, so that when they do pull up on a stop and there's a firearm there and it's not a threat to them, they don't go to enforce unconstitutional gun laws. That's the kind of training they should be getting. But I digress.
No matter what walk of life or career you have, if you're not conducting continuing education in your career, you are missing out on certain
And they need a lot of
aspects your
training
job
in
at a higher
firearms
and more
handling.
professional way. Agencies across our state in terms of law enforcement are no different. Training and education doesn't stop when you leave the police academy. So you have to continuing, whether it's
They need a
3,
shitload of
4,
training
5,
on
6
shooting.
times a year, comprehensive training in terms of, we might be talking about firearms training, but we also could be talking about things like crisis intervention training. We could talk about implicit bias training. We could talk about mental health training.
I like implicit
so-
bias.
So, just pull back the curtain, the agency that I have the
Implicit
pleasure to
bias.
serve at, we submit a training agenda that is approved in the months before the calendar year. And then we hold to that training agenda to ensure that we're hitting on the topics of the day, whether they be implicit bias, whether they be crisis intervention, mental health, CPR, firearms, emergency operations of a vehicle, everything designed to keep our community safe and to ensure that professionalism that our citizens demand.
All right, well, I wanted to get some clarity since there seemed to be such an interest. I wanted to make sure I wasn't missing anything, that I needed to be a voice for the people. Again, I definitely want, did you say if you had spoken with Jefferson County?
I have not spoken with your sheriff specifically, but I have been in close contact with the sheriff.
You mean to tell me you didn't speak with the sheriff in the largest county
No,
in the state of Alabama, and you are here pushing a bill for the Sheriff's Association? But you didn't think to speak to Sheriff Mark Petway
no, there are
in Jefferson County.
67 of them.
I
and
understand it. I know. Now wait a minute now. Wait a minute now. Wait a minute. I understand that the numbers. I took geography. I took Alabama history. As a matter of fact, I had a minor in it.
You got a minor in something, lady. I don't care whether your sheriff is against constitutional carry. I don't care whether he's missing money from permits. This isn't a Second Amendment issue. This is an issue with the Alabama Constitution. And the Alabama Constitution says that every man and woman has the right to carry arms in defense of themselves, others, or the state. Period. It's very clear. It doesn't give Alabama the power to regulate arms. So you can take your little purple tyrant self and go sit down.
So I understand the number, but the point is, we're bringing a piece of legislation for an association, and you have a sheriff that represents the largest. I wouldn't even care. Did you speak to the sheriff in the second largest county
Smoking
in
like
the
an
state?
Indian chief.
I'm sorry.
Did you speak to the sheriff in the second?
Which sheriff specifically?
I'm asking you, tell me the sheriffs that you spoke with. I mean, have you spoken with any sheriffs about this?
Spoke to several the other night at the sheriff's gathering,
but
and
you
they
didn't-
expressed their
So
support for the bill.
as you move the bill, did you speak with them prior to, since you say you spoke with the Sheriff's Association?
I'm not
Like
worried
when I
about
spoke
the
to someone
sheriff's
said they talked
feelings.
they're moving something for law enforcement, the Fraternal Order of Police. You know, I always say, well, did you speak with Representative Treadaway?
One car,
And I
that
still,
wouldn't
even to this
surprise
day,
me.
He was one of the biggest union reps for FOP that we've had that came out of Jefferson County and out of Birmingham.
I don't care how the
That's-
sheriff feels
that's how
about
I
it.
actually got a chance to come to know him
Sure.
because we worked for the
He was a
city
great
of
leader for
Birmingham.
the FOP.
Oh, yeah. So I'm just asking, so, you know, once you say you're a rep, you know, you're representing an association,
Yeah.
but I just have, you know, no one thought enough to talk to Mark Petway in Jefferson County, the largest county.
Lady's
Thank
time has expired. The chair recognizes the gentleman from Mobile, Representative Jones.
Oh Lord, this is this my buddy? Which one is this one?
Thank you for the
One
recognition, Mr. Speaker.
Yeah, I think this is my buddy.
Bedsoul, I don't have a lot of questions. I just got a few.
Yes, sir.
Live
I
life,
was
dude.
happy
What's
to
going
see
on, brother?
That the people who took the money from
Yeah.
them, giving it back to them. I was glad to see that and looking at this.
This was the Alabama House
And I
today.
think it's appropriate that the sheriff get the money back. But the thing that everybody seemed to pass over, we took it. I mean, we're the same people who took the money.
Yes.
Someone was doing pretty good with the pistol permit fund before that. But
No, let me explain something to this cat. You didn't take money away from the sheriffs. You just didn't take money away from people who wanted to carry their guns for self-defense. That's what you didn't take, is their money. Now they have the option, if they want, to give you money and carry, or to not give you money and carry. See, these people think all that money's theirs. It's maddening to me that these people are lawmakers.
my point, more than anything else, is that did we give any thought to the logical conclusion of what was going to take place when we passed this bill from the beginning. And some result of it. And a gentleman, elderly gentleman in my county asked me a question. He said, look, do y'all ever put any common sense in what you do? And I said, yeah, I guess we do. He said, well, if you really think about it, people fight with what they got.
Okay. If you really think about it, criminals were carrying guns without permits. I got chicken tacos. What?
People who have fists fight with fists. They don't go look for a gun. People who have guns fight with guns. So if we proliferate the state with guns, common sense tells me we're going to have more shootings. We're going to have more deaths from firearms. And, you know, I'm just wondering, what was the thought about what was going to happen positive as a result of that?
Representative, you can, anyone can go check in my voting record from the bill last year, so I don't mind saying it. I was not a supporter of the bill last
I
year.
didn't think you were.
To eliminate concealed weapons permits. At the end of the day, I was elected to come here in Montgomery and represent my district. But for the last nearly 25 years, I've served in law enforcement, and there's one thing that I will not do is ever turn my back on law enforcement. And I have some strong feelings about that. And so when I
even
had
when
the
they're wrong.
opportunity to help them in this situation here, I was very happy to carry this bill for them.
Even if you think it's going to be detrimental to the public, even if you feel that way, that's kind of how I felt.
Yeah.
And I really think that we really need to give a lot of thought to what, not the intent of the result of our actions wound up being. That's the part that I'm more concerned about.
Yes, sir.
I know a whole lot about pistol permit funds, believe me.
Yes, sir.
And I know that they've done a lot in our county anyway.
Yeah.
And I was really concerned about when the bill first came up. And I talked a little bit about that during that time. But since that time, I'm just amazed at some of the thought patterns that some people have about that. And I'm amazed. Well, our sheriff had a real serious thought pattern about it.
Yes.
And I'm wondering about, on some of the issues we addressed, do we put an emphasis on what is the logical conclusion of what our actions are? Because that's important. I think it's really important to the public. I think it's really important to all of us.
It is.
I didn't really know how you voted on the bill, but listening to you talk in the past,
Yes.
I understood that you seem to put a little bit more into it
Well, thank
than
you.
what I hear.
I really appreciate that.
And so I just wanted to say that had it not been for us, we wouldn't have to come back and undo this, because we really should have gave some thought to that from the beginning. I think the most important thing in your job is public safety.
Yes, sir.
What's going to happen as a result of what I do in Montgomery. So, and that's the way I think about it most of the time. But I just want to mention that point.
And thank you for that. And I'll say this, at the end of the day, I don't like to look back a whole lot. This body took a specific vote and changed some law for our state. And I always want to go forward, and we want to see what we can do regardless of the past. So that's the intent here, is to say that has happened in the past and I'm moving forward. So this here is going to be the right thing for our sheriff. So thank you.
Hopefully we'll be open to some other corrections.
Yes, sir.
At some point. Thank
Yes,
you.
sir. Thank you.
Chair recognizes the gentleman from Tuscaloosa, Representative England.
Thank you for recognition. A gentleman yield. Okay. It says, current law, any person who knowingly possesses a pistol or firearm concealed on or about his or her person or in a vehicle occupied by the person and who is asked by a law enforcement officer operating in the line and scope of his or her official duties whether he or she is armed with a concealed pistol or firearm shall immediately inform the law enforcement officer that the person is in possession of a pistol or firearm. That's current law. Fair? Makes sense?
Yes.
Doesn't have a penalty. So it's meaningless. Can't do anything with it. It's just there. And I don't even know if we're not going to enforce it, I don't know why we just won't take it out. And if we never had any intention of making it enforceable, why even agree to it in the first place? It's just that kind of Montgomery business that we do down here. And it makes me sick. Because there are many people around the state of Alabama who depended on us when we're negotiating in good faith that we're going to do what we say we're going to do. But we don't. It's Montgomery. It's what we do in Montgomery. And it's really frustrating. And I know what your bill does. And I agree with it. That's why I signed on to it. But at the same time, it is so disingenuous that we rename it and basically give the money back that we took because we took permits away. Again, that's just Montgomery. It's what we do. And now we want sheriffs to come back and say, thank you. So also, you know what else is frustrating to me? It's not necessarily the permit, because ever since I was alive and recognized that permits were required, I've never had anybody ever complain about having to go get one. Never was an issue. Because most law-abiding citizens don't mind doing something that demonstrates they're law-abiding citizens. And I get it. You always say criminals don't abide by laws and all that kind of stuff, but that's not the point. The point is our response. It's not about the criminal, it's about law enforcement's ability to respond to somebody who's possessing a firearm, a dangerous firearm. So now we know that there are people who are carrying concealed weapons who don't have a background check. We don't even know if that person's been committed or not. We don't know if that person's been convicted of a domestic violence offense or not. We don't even know if that person has the propensity for violence or not. And they're carrying concealed. And we let those folks carry guns everywhere with no checks or balances anymore. And then we don't do what's necessary to make sure that law enforcement is as fully informed about who has them or not. It's crazy to me. And also the database. If there isn't something that is like seatbelts on an airplane, then a database that we're responsible for maintaining, it's security theater. It's not real.
This dude is a moron.
A database that tells you if that person is a felon or not, it ain't even probable cause. You can't even operate on the information. And it's unreliable because
If
it
you
can't
run their
tell
background and
who's
they pop with a
prohibited possessor,
felony and they
because
have a gun,
you know what makes you a prohibited possessor in
probable
Alabama?
cause.
A domestic violence conviction involving a weapon. Now, there are cities that barely turn their convictions in. That's what our database is based on. And again, you're on a traffic stop. You can't even inquire or open a line of inquisition if you see a pistol in a car because it's legal now. The best you can do is take it from them temporarily for your safety, but you can't look at it. You can't ask about it. You can't check the serial numbers. You can't do anything to it except hand it back.
why? Because if they haven't
How is
committed
that
a
safety?
crime,
How's that making us safer?
they're
How
presumed
does
to
that
be
make you as a law
innocent.
enforcement officer safer? It is backwards.
If the gun's
It
not
doesn't
being
even
used
make
against a law
sense.
enforcement officer, that means they're safe.
But we're gonna make sure you got a little extra money. But we're damn sure not doing anything about helping you on the street. It's one of the most frustrating things, man. And if we can't negotiate in good faith and keep our word to law enforcement about
You
their
don't
safety,
do anything in
and
good
I don't even
faith.
know what purpose we're serving. I don't even know why we engaged in the conversation in the first place with law enforcement to give them these fake promises, these empty promises about what we're going to do to keep them safe.
So England's mad because he had a
If you're
couple
not gonna add
bills
a penalty
shot
to it,
down.
then you might as well just take it out.
I'm
Because
cool with that.
one day
Take it out.
somebody is going to make the false assertion or promise in a conversation with law enforcement, and they're going to lose their whole case behind it because there's no teeth in the law at all. I don't know, man.
Mike, I'll look at it, brother.
It's almost like there's nothing sacred around here anymore. Because it used to be when law enforcement came down here and said, this makes us less safe, it stopped.
I haven't looked at
At the very least, if we're going to negotiate on both sides, and you say this is something that we gotta have in order to
you have no
at least
power
be
here.
comfortable with this,
Logic,
we do it.
reason.
And we certainly make it enforceable. It's not the same. It's
It's
frustrating.
like a Democrat standing there with a giant staff trying to play
And
Gandalf. You have
undoubtedly,
no power here.
we know
You shall not pass.
across the state
Bridge falls
that
down.
guns are everywhere now. Because if you're a criminal, the best way to conceal it
This is
is to
oh, here we
carry
go.
it. That's amazing, isn't it? If you want to get away with carrying a pistol when you're a legal possessor, just carry it around with you.
I told you this would hurt.
You look just like everybody
I'll
else.
stay here. Yes,
So the law-abiding citizen and the criminal,
and this ain't even the
in
painful
context,
one.
when carrying a pistol, are guess what now? The same.
Until they actually
And we
show
expect
intent to
that
commit a
to add
crime.
up to public
Yes.
safety.
As long as they don't pull
traffic
that gun
stop.
out to use it against
You pull
somebody.
somebody over.
Yes.
A year and a half ago, if you saw a pistol in that car, what did you do? You took it. You know why you took it? Because they needed a permit. What are you
You
doing at
took
traffic
it.
stop now? Just
Hold on. You took the gun and you charged a person who was not a threat to public safety. You charged them and you put them in jail because they just didn't have a permit or they didn't know about permits because some people are so uninformed, they don't know this stuff, and they had a gun on them. But still, we're no threat to the public, no threat to anybody. And you, one of those people thrown in jail. All you didn't stop any criminals from carrying guns.
look at it. Oh, well. Not much I can do. Let me go check this incomplete database that we got. That doesn't work. That's I think managed by the same people, Aaliyah, that's responsible for giving people who are released from prison driver's licenses. And how well is that going? So, anyway.
So that's something I missed earlier. So you're telling me the very government that is responsible for doing these things is inept at doing their job. But you want to give more responsibility to the government who are inept in doing their job. Sure. Makes perfect sense if you're brainless.
It's about guns. I get it. But I think there's supposed to be a balance between the Second Amendment and public safety. And it right now is completely out of whack. Completely out of whack. But I commend what you're doing because at the very least, there's some small pushback there that even the folks who are standing on the vanguard of the Second Amendment and everything else be damned, open up the door a little bit and say, all right, we may have messed that up. Let's talk about that. And maybe we can fix it. But everything else, even valid, legitimate concerns, we're not going to listen to. Anyway, I'm not going to come back up here, but I just want to make sure I point out the hypocrisy in what we're doing.
No, you pointed out the stupidity of your
Come
own
down here
argument.
and you talk
is
to the
what you did.
folks on the other side or either side, and you negotiate with them about something that you believe is important to you and something that's vital to your job and your safety. Make sure you can trust them, because you don't want to be back here next year and them telling you no. Thank you.
Yeah, they want to know where every private firearm is at.
I'd like to recognize Probate Judge Sheila Moore from Winston County, guest to represent Tim Wadsworth and Tracy Estes here with us today. Let's give her a big hand. She's still in the gallery. Sure, recognize the lady from Jefferson, Representative Moore.
And this is all before the final passage of this bill. So, and all this bill does is make sure that, you know, sheriffs are getting their freaking shillings for letting people actually carry their guns.
Yes, ma'am.
Prior to us repealing the pistol permit, do you know some of the reasons or uses they had? And the reason I'm asking is because
That one right
I've seen
that I showed
some
you that
in reading the first part of the year,
freaking,
some sheriff departments were
has
talking
the
about that without those
cloudy
pistol
eyes.
permit funds, they would have to lay off some of their sheriffs, and it would prevent them from purchasing some of the equipment that they need. But I see under the new name, when we, that's gonna pass today, is for technology training. Will they still be able to hire personnel under the new title?
No, ma'am. I don't know what you're referring to, but the
I'm referring
discretionary.
to some of the sheriffs that was on the news.
Well, I
and
saw him
in the
today. He wouldn't
Birmingham
let me
News
catch it.
before it went out of print, that said without the pistol permit, that they would have to lay off personnel because that pistol permit was used to help them in hiring officers, and it also was used to help them purchase certain equipment that they need, versus looking at the new title and
My baby corn stuff.
besides training, what else will they be able to use with the funds that the
Right.
state is gonna
We've been
provide
cool
for the
this year,
loss
but we have been
of the
wrong.
pistol permit?
I know it was
The
40-something
discretionary
degrees this
dollars,
morning.
we're not able
Late
to use
April,
for
and it's 40. I'm not
salaries. What the
complaining.
reference
Oh,
may
hell
be
no, I
ain't. Damn it.
is,
DB
law
Cooper,
enforcement
what's up,
related
brother?
Equipment. So that can be a scope and portion. You know, the honest reality is that many counties have their own individual legislative statutes that govern how those discretionary dollars
Oh,
are
yeah.
spent. Large in part, it's all
But with the
revolving
pretty
pistol
girl.
permit, they had a little more
Big.
flexibility.
law
with
enforcement purposes, right?
Yeah,
And so
to
that could
use
be
it for.
a partnership with their county commission to purchase vehicles. You know,
But if their county commission is not generating that excess money
right.
to do it, because when I see we got a 5-year period where we're gonna supplement for the loss, and just personally thinking, I think we're trying to cover up what we've done when we changed the name from local government to permit revenue loss. And that's exactly what happened when the bill was passed,
She bites
to
me on the
allow
nose.
people not to have a permit to carry. But when we changed this new name to Sheriff's Advancement in Education, Technology, and Training Fund, I think that at that point, we're trying to cover up what this legislative body did when we took away the pistol permit, because they used it for a lot of different things, which this new title won't allow them
No,
to
that's-
use it
the-
going forward.
Yeah, and I would like to interject real quick because I think that's important to point out is nothing in this bill changes how they can use their discretionary funds because
But
it's
they can't hire with it.
but they've not been able to hire under discretionary dollars. Have never been able to use.
Well,
for
why did
hiring.
those sheriffs get on TV and say
can't
that they use?
explain what you saw, but I can tell you.
I can
those
tell you what I saw. I saw them
dollars-
say out of their mouth through my lying ears that they
discretionary
could no
dollars.
longer use it.
Regardless of that,
Are you
nothing-
sure that every county classified it as discretionary monies?
they're discretionary dollars? Yes, ma'am.
Because they made those statements.
Okay.
And I just wonder, I mean, I don't know them.
Yeah.
Other than
Like
I saw
sheriffs wouldn't
some on
lie.
TV. Then I saw some that they did reports on in the Birmingham News before it went out of print. And they listed some of the usage of the pistol permit money
So this won't change
that they
anything.
have. So with your discretionary money in Jefferson County, about $2 and something came to provide office space for the legislators. Could they use that discretionary money
Whatever their
still
local,
for that?
whatever their local enabling act is, that still remains in effect. All
So-
this does is create a passageway in which they can apply for those dollars. Those dollars are
Apply for those dollars. They're not automatic.
apply for those dollars. That money is transmitted to the county commission. This
But
bill
they're applying
directs
for it versus
to
pistol
Tell your
permit, they
energy.
didn't apply for dollars that came in because people, if they wanted to carry a gun, they had to have that permit.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's not the same, no matter how we want to put it. And I understand you in law enforcement, and I would think that it puts you in a very odd position, but I understand what goes on in his body because no matter how we say it, I think that those officers that did those articles and did those interviews were speaking from what they actually used the fund for. And all of them talked about hiring officers, and I was just concerned about that. And if they couldn't use it then I don't know what position they put themselves in by going public and saying that they were using it for. But that was my biggest concern is those people did say that. And
doesn't change a thing. They can use it for the same way they used to use it.
hiring people
If that's the way they used to use it, all I'm telling you is this:
for
that
5 years, and then after that, what happened?
it'll be back before this
Don't
body,
care.
presumably.
But they didn't necessarily have to do that when they could put out those pistol permits. They didn't have to come back every 5 years. And then we might not be in a position,
We might not be. You're absolutely
you know,
right.
because we got a lot of money now that because of a pandemic, we were able to save in so many different areas
That's right.
that in 5 years, most likely, we might not be in that position unless we
Yeah.
plan to do a lot better recruiting businesses to come into the state and doing better in education and training our citizens to be prepared to go into a diverse workforce of new careers that could possibly come into the state. So I wondered about that.
They
after
just
the 5-year
freaking
bill,
wander
what
around.
would be the status of the state? Because for so many years, we have not bought in what we could, but now we just have excess money because of a situation that was created through some hook or crook that we had a pandemic. But I just wondered about that. And then, cause
At
as
least
I
she
ride
acknowledges the
down
hooker crook
road,
on the pandemic.
it kind of bothers me, especially at night, when I see an officer stop in a car, because it's at least in the daylight, if somebody does not have good intentions, somebody could see them and probably get a tag number to provide some help. But at night, I cringe when I see a trooper to stop somebody, and I'm saying, I'm hoping and praying I don't have to hear something on the news because it's dark and we don't know what the intent of a lot of people that's on the road, and you stop them and what type of mindset they're in.
That's right.
But those were the major ideas. After 5 years, what will happen? And then if those sheriff departments said that they use the monies to hire people, if they can continue to do it,
Complain
those
about
are
the
my
safety.
concerns.
Well, it doesn't feel like a 1911. Is there anything you can do about it?
Sure
No.
thing,
No.
lady.
It's
Chair
1911
recognizes
to
the gentleman from
1911.
Jefferson, Representative Rogers.
So Peyton told on me you're not going to make another gun feel like could have a gun. It's just not going to happen. That Springfield, the safety system isn't like the 1911.
No.
About the whole thing is just that we thinking
Oh
about
God, here
instead of
comes this
lives.
dude.
And I'm not. I know what you're trying to do, to raise some money.
This dude is
To
painful.
me, it's more about people's lives. I'm a company on with a bill to bunch of amendments to make you carry a permit to carry a gun in Jefferson County. Because those guys, if I was a police officer, I wouldn't stop nobody at night. But they got to go home also.
1911.
When you
A
pass
Glock, a
bill about
Glock.
leaving gun on the car seat,
XD is an XD.
and you got it, and you carry it in your car,
I ain't heard nothing good about
your
it.
life is in danger. Time you stop a car.
Glock.
So I'm not concerned about the money. I'm more concerned about the people's lives. I mean, those guys' lives in danger.
My entire career.
Hey, and I feel for them.
So I had to
And
change the
I
site.
don't think this is.
Did you?
I'm not against your bill. I know you're trying to replace revenue, but to me, we got to find a way to stop the gun spirit. Anytime you get a gun readily, and out about the whole thing is this that when those guys are shooting, they don't know how to shoot. They watch TV and movies, and they start shooting crawls like this, try to shoot. You can't.
Well, at least he acknowledges gangbangers can't shoot.
So I understand what you're trying to do to raise the revenue, but I think it ought to be just where we find a way to give them revenue, period. I mean, well, I understand it. You're limited on what you can do with the money. When you had the pistol permit, the gun, you could do what you want. I mean, you had more leeway, right? Am I right?
I don't think that's correct. I still think
So
it
it's
was governed under
still all about the
Enabling
money
Act
from the
of that
pistol
county
permit
that
for
told
these
the sheriff
guys.
how he could spend it. Generally speaking, for law enforcement purposes.
Yeah, but they had more leeway.
But this wouldn't change it. This actually, we were very careful when we constructed the language to not interfere with any local enabling legislation. What this says is that actually you will just simply follow whatever local enabling legislation is already in place. We didn't want to mess anything up that was already there, so this just follows that.
But basically, it pays the revenue from the gun permit, right?
Yeah, and we changed the comparison value from
I have no problem with
2022
that.
to
All right, it
2021.
says, I threw out
It
a
makes
case
it
of Bud
more
Light in the
equitable
woods.
for the sheriffs.
Next day on my game
I just
camera,
think the whole,
I saw that.
the whole concept is ridiculous. We just had 8 killings in in Birmingham on 8 days. Had 8
That's
killings.
funny.
8. Had one that put at a service station and innocent bystanders got shot and killed.
Yeah.
I mean, young folk. I mean,
And those are all
at the
people who
birthday
don't give a
party, they
shit
probably
about
had
permit carry.
down the way
anything.
down there, and every child in there had a gun. Evidently, if one person put a gun out there, everybody had a gun too.
I told you it's going
Everybody
to get
got to
painful.
shoot. We got to find some way to limit these guns.
And he ain't done yet.
And I'm sincere. If I was a police officer and I pity you, I lost a
Somebody.
goddaughter to a shooting by a thug.
Somebody.
And the irony about the whole thing is that she had a vest on, but he took the gun, pulled her collar out. She wasn't going to do anything and shot her right here. Because I wanted to fry him. I wanted to beat him when he fried him.
This is about to get
But they
good.
decided, they told me so many pills he'll get, so I let him go ahead and get life without parole and make sure you stay there. That's what I want to stay. So if I was a police officer, and I know what a hard job it is. I mean, I pity it. I mean, I've worked for probation officer before, and I know what it is. But if I'm gonna see somebody, to me, the lives are more important than the money. If I saw a car driving down the street and I was a police officer, I wouldn't pull nobody over. You know why? 'Cause I got a wife and kids at home.
I would be cool with officers not trying to pull people over for simple traffic infractions. I would be cool with that. Hey, you California, that stop sign, you didn't come to a complete stop. No one was hurt. No one was in 1,000 yards of you. Okay. Oh, this dude gets good in a minute.
And you don't know what's gonna happen. And then you got a law where a man can lay his gun on the seat. And when the police officer come in there, if he ain't got a gun out ready to shoot right now, the guy gonna kill him. You don't know what problem that guy had at home that night. He might be mad at his wife or his girlfriend or somebody, or she might be mad. And first thing she want to do is she start.
DLD, what's up, brother?
Up to the window.
Yeah, this dude ain't even got rolling yet.
So to me, their lives are more important than the money. Now, this what I got is a constitutional amendment trying to stymie something on this killing. And it's like just like Dodge City. And then all over the West, they carry guns in the saloon. When you come to Dodge City, you got to turn your.
Now, here's something. Okay, we've had constitutional carry in Alabama for, I guess, almost a year now. Besides the normal gang shootings, we haven't had Dodge City. I think this was the same guy that talked about judges were going to get killed and all this shit. We haven't had any of that. I mean, it hasn't been. Because anybody who wasn't carrying a gun before the constitutional carry, they said, well, I really don't want to carry my gun because, well, I really want to carry my gun, but I don't want to go through the process getting this permit. All right, when constitutional carry hit, they said, okay, I can carry my gun now. I can have my gun in the truck. No harm, no foul. There's never, again, I will say this, there's never been a situation where a criminal who was going to go out and do drive-bys or mass murders or anything like that, they have never went to leave the house with their gun and went, oh crap, I can't carry that because I don't have the permit. And then when put their gun down and then didn't go do that shooting. That's never happened.
Gun in. So my theory is that all I can do is think of a bill. When you drive in Jefferson County, you got to have a gun permit. You can't put your gun. You can't have no gun on your car seat.
So he wants to try to do something different for Jefferson County than the rest of the state. That's not going to work.
I'm thinking about those police officers. They got to do the job. And most times they get killed is about domesticated event or stopping a car. When they stop a car and they see a gun on the seat.
If you stop my truck and you see my gun sitting there, I am no threat to you.
For police officer, remember when y'all go through where they go in this trailer and somebody jump and shoot. I shot everything in there. I went through it. I got to shoot. I didn't. I shot everything. I mean,
nobody was safe, were they?
Nobody was safe. If I was put there, I'd be shot everybody. I was in that trailer, and someone jumped up. I just started shooting.
Well, that says a lot about you. Then doesn't say a whole lot about everybody else.
It is, and I'm thankful that our state and our country is full of men and women that, regardless of the situation, also do their job, and they will do it because they're trying to protect you and me, right?
Right, but what I'm saying about, I mean, I'm for you, Bill, but it's more important. The lives of those guys are more important than the money.
Right.
The money ain't gonna save nobody, save their life or nobody else's life. And I hear that. So that's what bothers me about the bill. I really see a bill require more regulation on guns than a bill talking about the money. All the money in the world won't bring back one police officer or one person got killed. All the money in the world won't bring them back. When you think about the people mourning and crying about a lost son, or a lost daughter, or a lost husband, a lost wife, your bill not gonna do anything to eliminate all those guns. We got to find a way to take some
Yeah,
guns.
DLD,
Might not help
100%.
that much.
I prefer not to
Everybody
carry,
said, we got to
not
find
to
a
deal
way
with legal
to
consequences when I
eliminate some of
carry,
those
but
weapons.
if I have to carry
You
with
realize
legal
that
consequences,
right
I'm
now
going to do it.
they got a weapon that made out of
Oh,
plastic.
here we go. Here we go. Hold on. Let me pause it. Okay. You guys, this is going to be extremely painful. Just hang on. Grab your butts. Unload anything near you that is, can put a hole in something. Don't have anything heavy next to you that you can throw. And listen to what this dude says.
You can't. You won't even get to take it through a metal detector. You know about that, right?
Guns made out of plastic?
It's called a ghost gun.
Okay.
A ghost gun. So now, the only reason you got a ghost gun, you want to kill, you want to hurt somebody. But that's what you got a ghost gun for. You go through a metal detector, you won't even pick it up.
What's the ammunition made out of?
Big Brian?
What the ammunition piece of that?
Well, I don't know, but I just read about the ghost gun. I'm not. But
Is it-
I understand it's deadly. I say it's like shooting a 45.
Yeah.
Not 38 or 45. 30 to me, 45 is similar. But once it hits you, you gone.
I told y'all this
It's
would
called a
hurt.
ghost gun. And really, a gun military won't even pick it up.
Y'all came in.
And so therefore, if your bill was some kind of way protecting the lives of those guys, I feel better. But this
Okay.
is about money.
I know a bunch of you, because I wasn't looking at chat right then. I know a bunch of you already know this. What was the gun in Die Hard? The Glock 17? Or no, it wasn't the 17. But it wouldn't be picked up on metal detectors, and it costs as much as 3 months of your salary and all that shit. What was that gun? Glock 7. That's what it is. Yep, that's it. And this dude, he is a lawmaker. Lawmaker. He's dabbling in some Hank Johnson territory right now.
And the money can replace one soul, one life. And so I feel so hurt by the fact that we're not doing something about the lives we lost.
Yeah.
Lose.
I'll say a lot of the sheriffs will use this money to do proper training, to learn better techniques and tactics, how to defend themselves. So, there is some consolation there because I have faith in our sheriffs that they will take this and use it for those
It's
purposes.
like a unicorn.
And I believe in that.
Okay, all right, but what about? We got to get them out their hands. We got to find some way. The other day I was going to Walmart. A guy walked in there with
Gentleman's
an
time has expired.
shoulder. I turned around and went back and got in my car.
It's a good idea.
I don't know what he's going to do, but I won't take no chance. He might be crazy. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, sir.
So the other day, he's going to Walmart. He saw a dude wearing a gun in the shoulder holster. Alabama has open carry, and we have concealed carry. He saw a dude with the shoulder holster, and he thought so hard about that, he had to turn around, go back to his car, and leave because a person was open carrying in a shoulder holster. Anybody else's head hurt at this point? Is it just
I'd like
me?
to recognize John Sharon, Chilton County Sheriff. Let's give him a big hand. Guests are Representative Van Smith and Russell Betso. Also, we have with us today Billy Hammock, Lauderdale County Revenue Commissioner, guest of Philip Pettis, Kerry Underwood, and Ben Harrison. Let's give him a big hand. Thank you for being with us today. But you would like to recognize the gentleman from Morgan, Representative Yarborough.
DLD, if you check your messages on the gram, MC cut out where Matt was doing the whole ISOFA King, and I sent that to
Will the
you.
gentleman yield?
Yes, sir.
But MC cut it out.
I just wanted to say a couple things. First of all,
Freaking
thanks for
awesome
carrying this.
that he did it.
But second of all, I think it's a very important lesson that we can learn from this, that I don't view this as hypocritical at all. I think there's an important lesson that we can view from this, that we don't have to sell back. And I know we can talk about, what actually prevents crimes. Do gun permits actually?
Yeah,
prevent,
Woods,
prevent
100%
crimes
right
versus
there.
Not. And I actually was a fan of the con carry bill. Not that it maybe was perfect, but I was a fan of it. But I think it's important to recognize that there are ways that we can fund our vital infrastructure without selling back our rights and freedoms to our people. And so I appreciate this bill as a proper movement in that direction, and that we can support and fund the things that are vital to our communities without having to sell back rights and freedoms. So I appreciate this bill.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And thank you for coming speaking, and thank you for your support on this.
Chair thanks the gentleman. Chair recognizes the gentleman from Clark, Representative Jackson.
Thanks, Mr. Speaker. I won't be long, my friend. I just want to,
What'd you switch to, Dark?
I just want you to give this body an incident that when the database saved the cop's life on a traffic stop. Give this body an incident that when the database
What did you
saved
switch to,
the
Dark?
life of an officer.
I can't say that.
You're asking me
Tease?
to provide it?
Yes, sir. Since
Okay.
since that came up, database.
Yeah. So I guess this could be an embarrassing moment for me, and I didn't know if you were trying to or not.
No. What I'm trying.
This is where I have to admit that I'm not as young as I used to be, and I'm not a patrolman anymore. So unfortunately, because I have an office job.
Rumor is
inside
Dark
my law
started
enforcement
carrying a
career
hyper, the yeet cannon.
that I don't have the day-to-day contacts, so I'm
10
not using the
millimeter.
database. So unfortunately, you put me on the spot here,
I didn't mean to.
and I'm gonna have to tell everyone
Mexican
I'm older
carry.
than you think I was. So I wish I could give you an example, but unfortunately,
Because there's none.
that's not my job.
Because database don't save lives. And I want to say this, and Mr. Speaker, when
Okay, the Alabama database that they're talking about is supposed to be a database of people anytime they become a prohibited possessor for crimes or mental illness in Alabama, they're supposed to be entered in this database. So when police pull you over, they run your tag, they see who owns that car, and then they can possibly kind of extrapolate that someone in that car is a prohibited possessor. It's the way that shit works. If you are a cop in Alabama or any other constitutional carry state, just go ahead and assume that everybody you run into is armed. Be polite, but be ready to defend yourself at all times. That's a simple solution to this whole thing. Because if you pull me over and I have my appendix carry gun, I've got my AR back behind the seat, I am no threat to you. No matter how much hardware I have in my truck, I'm still no threat to you. Write me for that seatbelt ticket, write me for that speeding ticket, do whatever. Okay, well, I mean, we're cool. If you pull me out of the car, Terry stop, I'm going to tell you, hey, I am armed. So when you search me, I have an appendix holster. Pull the holster and the gun out at one time. Don't just pull the gun, because I don't want you shooting me in. Again, my son's back there and trying to behave. I don't want you shooting me in vital parts of my anatomy. Just undo the claws and pull the whole holster out. That's if you pull me out on a Terry stop. If you don't pull me out on a Terry stop, which is a stop where they pull you out for officer safety, get bent. Just write me your ticket, whatever it is, and go about your business.
The permitless bill was passed on this floor. The balcony was filled with officers, and we stuffed our nose,
Yeah, Dark.
down their nose to let them know who
It
we
is.
were.
It is vital
And
to
now we
me.
coming
It may
back
not
up
be
here
vital
today.
to anybody else, but it's vital to me.
To give back what we took from them. And they supposed to just run and thank you, sir, thank you, thank you, thank you. See, when you wrong people for the wrong reason, I'm not gonna rejoice. Payback is coming. And this state gonna get a lot of payback for doing all the things that they're doing, passing all these bad bills. But people suffer. But I'm glad you can stop the
Who
bleeding
is suffering because of
before they bled out.
constitutional carry? Who suffers?
So I'm commending you for that. But it should never happen in the first place. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you.
Who has suffered since constitutional carry? I haven't seen this major
Before
rash
the body now is passing
of
HB 320.
people killing
One
each
lock and
other
cheek and
because
moving
of
the vote.
constitutional carry. You know, that shooting up in Dadeville the other day, that was simple to figure out. It was all gang stuff.
Clerk will lock the machine, record the vote, 100 ayes, 0 nays, HB 320.
Yeah,
is passed.
MC, you're right. Yeah.
Members, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, gentlemen. I'd like to recognize the circuit clerk, James Starborough and Carla Woodall from Pike in Houston County. Guest of Representative Fairmore, Klaus, Lee, Sorrell, and Regan. Clerk, call the next bill.
All right.
On page 54 of the calendar, Senate Bill number 23 by Senator Albritton relating to circuit clerks.
Thank you, Mr.
I
Speaker.
don't think there's anything too stupid they went into after that. So now that you guys saw the level of stupid that I dealt with this afternoon, you're welcome. But I am going to end this one here. I'm going to go cook some dinner and get everybody ready for bed and all that. So you perps be cool. Hold on. I'm making myself bigger. You perps be cool. Keep that thing on you at all times. And I'm out. I love each and every one of you. You guys are awesome as hell. If you've got anything, I'll say this. If you got anything happening in your state that you want me to cover, send it to me. No, my headphones look all awkward because I got them slid back. But send it to me. If you see anything coming up in Pennsylvania, Washington State, they just signed all that crap today. Tennessee, I think, had some stuff trying to push through. Oregon, need to keep an eye on them, make sure they're not doing things too crazy. But yeah, if you got it, send it to me if you want me to cover it. DLD, I should be in your show tonight, at least in the chat, brother. Some of it kind of depends on how kiddos do. But anyway, I love each and every one of you guys. Like I said, be cool. Keep that thing on you at all times because, hey, we never know what's going to happen. It's like a fire extinguisher in the house. I don't plan on setting my house on fire. There's a fire extinguisher there and I can put the fire out before it burns my house down. That's what I'm going to do. So I'm out, guys. Yeah, Dark, that's going to be a hell of a petition, brother. I will sign it in a hurry, though. All right, guys, I'm out. I'm going to cook some dinner, get something to eat. Y'all take them easy.